They're the special forces of feudal Japan. Shadow warriors who'll stop at nothing to get the job done.
The ninja were very much the unconventional warfare experts, which any army needs.
The deadliest killers. Their genius is deception. They're lethal in battle and specialists in cunning, betrayal, and strategy.
Never trust a ninja. Even your own ninjas, do not trust them. They will lie and make things up and cheat.
Ambush, infiltration, assassination, and espionage. Their techniques are timeless and live on in the methods of today's special forces.
Speed, aggression, and surprise, the way they move with silence and stealth and in small teams, it's still very much the same.
Now they're facing the greatest fight in their history. At stake is their very existence, and they'll need everything they've got to survive. This is the incredible story of the ninjas of Iga and their extraordinary rise to become an indispensable part of the Japanese military machine. It's 1562, and Japan is in the grip of a civil war that's lasted over 100 years. Warlords and their militias roam the countryside in a rampage of destruction that's tearing the country apart. In the wilds of central Japan, a year-long campaign is culminating in a siege. And the prize for the attacker is Kaminojo Castle. Determined to take it is an ambitious young warlord called Tokugawa Ieyasu. But he's facing a serious problem. Because inside the castle are his daughters. And they'll be killed if he attacks. Years earlier, he agreed to send them to Kaminojo in a peace deal. It's standard procedure in a country where no one trusts anyone. Now, he badly needs to go back on the deal.
With warlords fighting against each other, allegiances were quite often made and broken at a moment's notice. It was recognized very early on that a hostage system would help keep allegiances. That as long as they behaved and followed the rules, the families would be kept safe. If they broke the rules, the families would be executed, and it was a great way of keeping control.
Despite his massive army, Ieyasu has had his hands tied for over a year. He can't touch the castle. But Ieyasu is smart, and he's contacted a uniquely gifted fighter, a specialist called Hattori Hanzo. And Hanzo is known for one thing: unconventional warfare. Hattori Hanzo is the leader of the finest special forces in the Japanese world. They are experts at a secret martial art called Shinobi. Much later, they will be known as ninja.
Ninja is actually a very modern term, but back in the 1500s, they were known as Shinobi no Mono, shadow warrior. The ninja were renowned for never being spotted and being invisible. and having magic powers.
The shinobi warrior of the 1500s is so skilled, he is regarded almost as a supernatural being. But just like today's special forces, he's developed a unique set of tactics. To solve problems on the battlefield, conventional troops can't. And the ninja's particular talent is for intelligence gathering and infiltration.
The samurai army needed spies and it needed commandos. So ninja would develop these skills. They spy and they do commando infiltration raids. And these were needed for frontline troops or for information gathering.
And there's another reason why Hattori Hanzo and his ninja are so highly prized. Japanese armies are run by an officer class of samurai. At the heart of their combat training is a strict code of gentlemanly honor. And the one thing they won't touch are dirty tricks. What we call black ops. Assassination, murder, and sabotage.
The ninja were very much the unconventional warfare experts, which any army needs. Samurai honor precluded them from doing certain tasks that they saw beneath them. The ninja didn't follow the same code of honor and were able to effectively achieve what the samurai could not.
Hanzo and his ninja are the best in the business. He even has a track record in one particular area of shinobi. He's an old hand at penetrating castles and freeing hostages. Ieyasu doesn't take much persuading to sign the ninja up. And there's just one order. Rescue my daughters.
Now Ieyasu saw the immense capability of Hattori Hanzo as the commander, the general for the ninja. And he brought him in as one of his generals. And as one of his generals, he was feared and he became known as Devil Hanzo.
Hattori Hanzo now starts an intelligence gathering operation that will decide his strategy. To do that, he'll draw to the full on his shinobi skills. But the mission and his options are familiar to operatives everywhere. Tactics that are routine today were pioneered by the Shadow Warriors 500 years ago.
The ninjas have developed a series of tactics that are almost universal and they haven't really evolved or changed much. There's little marginal improvements here and there and technology comes into it in different weapon systems. The essential elements are still very much the same. Speed, aggression and surprise. The way they move with silence and stealth and in small teams, it's still very much the same.
One man who knows all about the problems facing Hattori Hanzo's ninjas at Kaminojo is Jason Williams. Now living in Japan, he fought for 5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan with the SAS. And that presented intelligence gathering challenges that are very familiar to Hattori Hanzo. Getting good information boils down to a handful of options.
You're usually going into an enemy complex or an enemy building, maybe an enemy compound. There are two ways of doing it. You can do a long-term operation or you can do a short-term. Long-term means more of a sleeper cell approach. You'll be going in maybe a few years before you even get any information out. It's a very long-term operation, and there's a lot more risk to the individual who's involved and a lot more stress on them.
By the time he's approached by Ieyasu, Hanzo has already put in a sleeper cell of ninjas who have been undercover, posing as civilians living near the castle. It's a classic shinobi tactic. When hostilities start hotting up, the Lord of Kaminojo starts hiring local men, not realizing who they are. And the ninja sleeper cell walks right into the castle unopposed.
When their lord would start to invade, the ninja would get hired into his retinue. This meant that the ninja was on the inside of the enemy.
As well as using his spies on the inside, just like special forces today, Hanzo sends commandos on a reconnaissance mission to assess the target's defenses.
You set up what we call a CTR, close target recce. You get as much information about the complex and around that area as possible. And then once you've done that, you can either go inside or you can withdraw.
Now that Hanzo has twin sources of information about the target, he can build his strategy. He decides to climb the walls of the castle alone, while his commando support will wait for a signal. Then, he'll go on into the complex in a solo snatch operation. As soon as the princesses are safe, the sleeper agents on the inside will signal for the attack to start. With forces on the inside and outside, it will be a pincer operation. And Hanzo is ready to go. It is now vital to ensure the timing is right and all conditions favor the ninja.
Now, normally a ninja did not infiltrate in the full moon. He'd wait till 8 days after the moon or 8 days before the moon, so it was darker. And he'd wear dark clothes.
Using tried and tested ninja techniques, Hanzo now rises up the castle walls.
He'd use iron spikes, and he'd place spikes in the castle wall, and he'd climb all the way up to the top.
Once at the top, the ninja starts to soar through the walls using special shinobi tools.
This is a type of saw called a shikoro. It was used for making larger holes in clay or wooden walls. Usually so a ninja could climb through. In ancient Japan it was standard kit for breaking into houses.
And then on the inside of the clay walls, they'd have a crisscross of bamboo. He'd cut out a section, he'd go inside.
But scaling walls in total silence and secrecy is the easy part. Hanzo must now move unseen through a castle full of soldiers waiting for him.
Now, once inside, he'd wait. He would be waiting for the people to come along with torches on patrol.
Hanzo's ninja skills allow him to elude detection completely. But he can't afford to relax. He knows the enemy will have prepared for him.
He has to be careful because their dark patrol comes past. These are the people without torches. They would be looking for ninjas.
Sleeper agents meet Hanzo to direct him to the royal apartments. After that, he's on his own. The ninja must now overcome sentries and make his way deep into the castle complex. Once again, he turns to classic shinobi techniques to fell his enemies. With the guards dispatched, Hanzo must seize the hostages. As planned, the ninja double agents signal to Hanzo's commandos and Ieyasu's samurai by starting fires on the inside of the castle. The commandos penetrate the defenses as Ieyasu's conventional forces overwhelm the castle. The hostages are smuggled out in the mayhem.
This operation is a classic example of ninja technique. Being able to infiltrate the enemy's positions, influence what went on, and to attack from within. Classic shinobi.
Hanzo's success not only confirms his reputation, but that of his fearsome homeland, now acknowledged as the region with the best ninja in Japan. It's a place of mists. On a high mountain plateau cut off from the rest of the country, its people are different, fierce mountain folk with proud, independent spirits. Its name is Iga.
Ninja were mainly hired from Iga. The Iga people were known as the best ninja. They would go across all of Japan and they would present themselves to their lords and say, I'm a ninja, I'm from Iga, I'm trained in the arts of ninjutsu. Then the lord would hire them.
The ninja or shinobi skills practiced by the men of Iga have been developed over centuries of warfare. They draw together the extreme physical power of the martial artist, the swordsmanship of the samurai warrior, with tactical expertise from ancient China and the writings of the Chinese master military strategist Sun Tzu. And it's in the rural hinterlands and highland villages where shinobi is perfected. Living in Iga means surviving a harsh mountain climate. And by the time a ninja starts his training, he's already tough. But to be allowed to become a shinobi warrior, he must go through a series of brutal tests.
The ninja needed to survive in a huge variety of environments, whether on operations or intelligence gathering. And they trained for that by enduring exposure and low temperatures at high altitude.
Like special forces today, constant training in mountain survival is at the core of the making of an effective operative.
All the soldiers have to go through a process which would involve testing their individual fitness in lone, isolated marches in mountainous terrain. Then their personal skills would be tested to the utmost. They'd be isolated in a combat survival environment where they'd be exposed in a wilderness with minimum supplies.
As part of his training, the ninja must learn to live off the land for an indefinite period.
The ninja were experts in optimizing their diet so they could resist a cold and hunger. They developed a special ration pack, and just one would keep them going for up to 3 days. A lot of the ninja's art is really about survival and endurance.
it isn't just physical demands that the trainee ninja has to learn to cope with.
The entire point of a ninja's training was about endurance. He had to endure mental problems. He would be in the enemy's land, and he had to train himself to not break under pressure.
The people of Iga mostly worship nature spirits and follow Shintoism, a religious practice focused on the natural world. For an undercover ninja, becoming one with nature is a perfect training for blending in with the environment.
A ninja is a specialist of blending with the surrounding, is the ultimate expression of what in a way Shintoism is all about. It's about achieving utmost harmony with the environment. So a ninja would disappear to the eyes of the common viewer because he managed to become almost sort of seamlessly connected to the nature around it.
Just like the ninja in 16th century Japan, today's special forces, like the Navy SEALs or the SAS, have an advanced training in camouflage and concealment.
The ability to blend in with your surroundings is an essential skill. If you're in any natural area in countryside, you're always aware of how people are looking at you or where they're going to be looking at you from.
The SAS, like the ninja, have a sense of concealment drilled into them, so it becomes instinctive when operating covertly. Shape, shine, shadow, and silhouette are a constant concern.
There's shape. There's not many round shapes in nature or all perfectly straight lines. Then there's shine, the bridge of your nose, your forehead, any metal on your weapon. You want to eliminate any shadow coming from yourself. If you're on a ridge line, you should avoid silhouetting yourself. Be mindful of your footfall. Leave no sign. Don't cause disturbances. You know, if there's a branch on the floor, don't snap it or brush up against tree branches.
Over several centuries, the ninja rise to become an indispensable part of the Japanese military machine as intelligence gatherers and operational agents. Like the best security and special forces of the modern era, they are never satisfied, constantly upping their game and devising new strategies and techniques to gain advantage. But now, 17 years after the siege at Kaminojo Castle, the Iga Ninja face their biggest danger yet. It's a gigantic army, rolling through the country, crushing all it encounters. And it's led by a cruel overlord, known for his love of extreme violence. He's a genocidal megalomaniac, with a reputation unmatched in all of Japan's bloody history. Oda Nobunaga is bent on one thing: absolute power.
Nobunaga's plan was to unify all of Japan, and that was his one goal. So nobody was spared from his forces or his army. This is what he was going to do.
Oda Nobunaga is single-minded, cold, calculating, and disciplined, and he crushes all resistance with utter ruthlessness. The trouble is, the Iga don't bow down to anyone.
In the late 1500s, the ninjas had a serious problem. Nobunaga needed complete and total obedience, and they refused to give it.
Two opposing forces are on a collision course. Neither is used to giving way, and a devastating confrontation is inevitable.
The only solution Nobunaga had was to invade, and he did so with a vengeance.
To tame the ninjas of Iga, Nobunaga sends in his toughest samurai. crack troops, hardened by decades of bloodletting. The orders are to spare no one. But he makes one fatal error. He appoints a general who is completely unsuited to the job. That general is his son, Nobukatsu. Nobukatsu has no experience. Not just that, he's impetuous and undisciplined. It's about the worst combination of qualities a military leader could have. And he makes a host of errors. One of the worst is to underestimate his enemy. He thinks the code of honor of his samurai gentleman cannot fail against people he dismisses as a bunch of eager peasants.
Right from the beginning, Nobukatsu made some basic mistakes. He utilized warfare in a samurai mentality. He didn't recognize that you needed special forces. His biggest mistake was not using ninja of his own.
Without intelligence from ninja spies, Nobukatsu charges blindly into enemy territory. From that, 3 fatal flaws in his strategy emerge.
He didn't prepare properly. He didn't get the lay of the land, and he chose a direct route without doing any reconnaissance.
It's a serious blunder. Nobukatsu is entering unknown territory. And what he doesn't know is that Iga is unlike any other place in Japan.
Iga has a river running through the middle called the Hattori, and on certain days the whole valley is thick with a mist. Sometimes Iga can seem like a hidden world, shrouded in mist and fog.
Nobukatsu's samurai now enter narrow gorges with no idea of what's waiting for them. Suddenly, in front of them, is the last person Nobukatsu and his troops want to see. It's Hattori, the devil, Hanzo. Just at that moment, the weather closes in.
Fog suddenly filled the valley, and this is where the ninja do what they do best. They got down close and personal. They attacked from the sides and from the back, infiltrating the ranks of the samurai, causing chaos. So much chaos, in fact, that the samurai began to cut each other down, not knowing who the enemy was.
It's an ambush that's textbook ninja, drawing the samurai into unfamiliar terrain and destroying them with tactics they're completely unprepared for. It has disastrous consequences for the invaders. Nobukatsu's bodyguards are cut to pieces. Now the general must stand alone against the ninja and account for himself.
And in that chaos, Nobukatsu made a run for it. And he was the only one to survive a complete massacre.
The defeat sends shockwaves through the country. the almost total annihilation of Nobunaga's finest samurai goes down as one of the ninja's greatest triumphs. But it will also unleash forces that will test the men of Iga as never before. Within days, the ninja spy network reports Nobunaga mustering the biggest army Japan has ever seen. Columns are streaming from every region with one order: destroy Iga. The ninja know they can't defeat so huge an army, and there is only one solution. Nobunaga must be assassinated. There's only one shinobi warrior who can do the job. Born into a powerful Iga clan, the ninja Ishikawa Goemon has every reason to want to kill Nobunaga personally. His whole family was murdered by Nobunaga's forces, and getting revenge has been his life's ambition. The job of killing Nobunaga will go down as the toughest assignment ever faced by a ninja assassin. The warlord is constantly surrounded by a crack force of bodyguards and employs ninja killers himself from the Iga's rivals. He has a highly skilled network of spies adept at infiltrating and extracting information throughout Japan. Nobunaga knows that the Iga are almost certainly plotting to kill him, and he's convinced he's ready for them. But the Iga spy network manages to secure some crucial information. The only time Nobunaga lets his guard down is when he's in his heavily fortified castle. Goemon's only chance is to infiltrate the castle and, using double agents on the inside, assassinate the warlord himself in the royal apartments. Ninja Black Ops techniques are at the height of development, and their armory boasts a massive array of weapons and technology unmatched anywhere. Goemon now has everything put at his disposal.
The ninja had something called the art of fire, and they used gunpowder for everything from signaling to explosions and lighting effects. And they were masters at vanishing behind smoke screens.
But Goemon knows that Nobunaga is fully aware of the ninja's specialist tools and tactics. To kill the overlord, he's going to have to surprise Nobunaga and think laterally. He decides to use poison. But it has to be done in a truly novel way.
There's different ways to use poison. You can either go in a house as someone's guest and you can poison the people there. One manual tells us to use strychnine, and they would mix it with cakes and they would give it to people that way.
Goemon knows poisoned cakes won't work. Nobunaga keeps a retinue of food tasters precisely to protect him from this threat. The ninja needs something more cunning.
They did something called well poisoning. They take the poisonous part of a puffer fish and they mix it with excrement or lead and arsenic. And they would drop this into the enemy's well.
Once again, Nobunaga's tasters would detect poisoned water well before it reached the overlord's lips. Goemon realizes he must deliver the toxin to Nobunaga personally, and he'll only get one shot. He turns to a substance that remains today one of the most toxic in the world. It's called wolfsbane. A couple of drops will kill an adult in minutes. There is no antidote. Victims die writhing in agony. Now Goemon must craft his method of delivery. And he only has the tools and materials of his remote mountain community. Fortunately, the ninja are masters at repurposing everyday items into weapons.
One of the things that the ninja were very good at was adaptation and using anything at their disposal as a weapon. Now, the word weapon can tend to get people quite narrow-minded, but the ninja thought of weapons as more as tools, and that allowed them to be very adaptable and very flexible.
Ninjas were recruited from relatively low-income part of the population. They were accustomed to use very basic tools connected to agricultural activities. So most of the weapons resembled tools that you would find, in a garden or something like that.
A traditional sickle in the hands of a ninja, for instance, has multiple uses in a combat situation.
This is called a kusarigama. Iga farmers cut hay with it, but the ninja used it as a weapon in two ways. First, the ninja would throw the iron weight at the end of the chain so it wrapped around the legs of the enemy. When he fell, the ninja would attack him with the blade. Very effective.
Goemon's plan is now ready. He's going to put the wolf's bane into Nobunaga's mouth in a way no one's ever thought of. But before he goes into action, there's one more vital element for the ninja's attack.
In the chaos of battle, fear is the greatest enemy, and the ninja learnt from a very early stage that fear is something to be embraced. And so quite often before an operation, they would begin a meditation. They would meditate on the fact that they had no home, no family, no friends, no country. All they had was themselves, their weapons, and their spirit. And this was so that they could act completely without distraction.
Goemon turns to his spiritual training of Shintoism to prepare his mind for the assignment. He uses an ancient practice that hones concentration and produces complete psychological detachment from fear. It's called Kuji-kiri.
Kuji-kiri is one of the ninja spiritual arts. A ninja would summon 9 concepts with his hands to make his mind strong. They're power, energy, harmony, healing, intuition, awareness, force, creation, zen.
Goemon has submitted himself utterly to the protection of his spiritual guides, and his mind is in peak readiness. Now he must go in. In classic style, Goemon makes himself virtually invisible as he closes in on Nobunaga's apartments. Double agents working on the warlord's staff have given him the information he needs to navigate his way to the target. Once inside the apartment complex, he maneuvers himself to a space above the royal bedchamber. Ninja agents in the castle have drilled a tiny hole in the ceiling and positioned the royal bed so that the target's head is directly beneath it. Now the ninja applies the wolf's bane to the string. But just as he's delivering the lethal dose, Nobunaga wakes. Goemon knows he's failed.
No, now, we must go now.
And now must escape the only way he can.
When a ninja wanted to escape, he could do a few things. Normally, they would have caltrops. Now, caltrops are small balls of iron with spikes moving out, and he'd position these in certain places where he knew the enemy would chase him. So those pursuers would stand on it, falling over.
Goemon has slowed his pursuers, but he's still not safe. If the samurai bodyguards catch up with him, he's dead. Now he has to reach for another tool in the ninja system. It's time for the shuriken.
手裏剣なんですね。だからこれ
The
は
ninja would use shuriken like this when they were on the run from the enemy. They're secretly held and used in an extreme situation. They'd throw them at the enemy like this.
撃つ。
Goemon may have failed, but the assassination attempt is a textbook example of shinobi ingenuity. Adapting simple everyday objects to lethal effect. Nobunaga now goes on the warpath against the ninjas of Iga with violent determination. He takes personal command of his massive army and launches it against the whole region. Unlike his son Nobukatsu, he uses ninjas who are Hanzo's deadliest rivals. He gives only one order: spare no one.
もう具体的に言うと、
Nobunaga was completely cold-blooded. He ordered his soldiers to kill everyone in Iga. Women, children, or monks. They were all slaughtered, regardless. The killing made the Iga Ninja scatter across Japan.
It's a bloodletting that remains notorious in Japanese history to this day. Nothing is left of the old Iga villages.
Nobunaga had destroyed their homes, destroyed their families. This made them drop in social class. They had been displaced. This changed the history of the Iga people forever.
The once proud ninjas of Iga are now scattered and in flight, while Nobunaga's troops scour the hills to hunt them down. All looks lost for them, with no land, no status, and no money. All they can do is hope to scrape a living as peasants in some other region where no one will know them. Then, just as all seems lost, some extraordinary news comes through. In a palace coup, the cruel overlord, Oda Nobunaga, has been assassinated at Kyoto.
Nobunaga had just become the ultimate power in Japan, and he sent his troops out to the provinces to spread the word. While Nobunaga was distracted, one of his close generals took advantage of that and assassinated Nobunaga to take power for himself.
It's good news for the ninjas of Iga, but it also plunges Japan into political chaos. Nobunaga's killers now turn on the overlord's allies. Summary executions of all the senior figures associated with the old regime begin immediately. One high-ranking warlord in particular is suddenly in serious trouble. He's none other than Tokugawa Ieyasu. He has risen to become a close strategic ally of Nobunaga, and by chance, happened to be visiting him. Now Ieyasu's far from home and on the wrong side, while a revolution erupts around him. The road home is teeming with his enemies, and he's trapped.
When Oda Nobunaga was assassinated, Tokugawa Ieyasu found himself in a really dangerous situation. He had to get home, he had to get back to his lands. However, which was the best way to go? How could he do this?
The only way Ieyasu can get home is to take a perilous journey across the mountains of Iga. It's a golden opportunity for Hanzo, who immediately uses his contacts and his dispossessed ninja force to help his old friend.
Hattori Hanzo の元々の故郷は
Iga is Hanzo's home territory. The Iga people still there didn't trust Ieyasu, but Hanzo persuaded them to protect him and help him across the mountains. Hanzo had great authority with his people and used his connections and influence in Iga.
As Ieyasu, Hanzo, and their men flee across the mountains, word gets back to the new regime. A hunter-killer unit of samurai pursue the ninjas, believing they can stop the escaping force and seize Ieyasu. This time it's the ninja who will face an ambush. It's a narrow escape for Tokugawa Ieyasu, but the making of Hattori Hanzo and his ninjas.
Now, because of this, Tokugawa Ieyasu was extremely grateful. They had saved his life. So he hired up to 100 of their men to help guard him at Edo Castle, modern-day Tokyo.
With Nobunaga dead, the number of military campaigns and warring factions starts to dwindle. Ieyasu's political career finally takes him to the very top, and he assumes complete control of a united and peaceful Japan. His triumph inaugurates a golden era for Japan and a 265-year dynasty of shoguns. And with them all the way are the ninja and the descendants of the greatest of them all, Hattori, the devil, Hanzo.